Hi, my name is Nate Adams, sometimes known as Nate the House Whisperer. And this is a hot topic that I want to touch on because a lot of people don't understand exactly what's involved. Uh, so, uh, you may have begun to hear the phrase electrify everything. So, I want to talk about what that is today. Just do some basics. This will be a pretty quick video. Um, and it's all about electrifying your life so that it can run on clean energy. So to start off, really basic thing, life uses energy. If you drive a car or you live in a house, you're using energy. So we really have two choices. We can use fossil fuels or we can use carbon-free energy. Now, if you want to use uh, carbon-free, that basically means electricity because it's the only thing that we are really good at making without any pollution or emissions or anything like that. Uh, so if you want to run on clean energy, you need to run on electricity, which means you need to electrify everything. That's how the phrase came about. It was originally coined by David Roberts of Vox, who writes about stuff like this. All right, public service announcement before we get started. Uh, the only way that this works well is if you go out of your way to buy clean energy. It's possible everywhere, depending on a bunch of things, but you can always go to Arcadia Power, and they're not a sponsor or anything like that, but that is one option that you can go and get 50% clean energy for free. Or I wrote this for Ohio, and wherever you live, I highly encourage you to figure out how to do it and then do a blog entry of how to buy clean energy, which is what I did here. So you can choose your electricity supplier here in Ohio, and it is basically the same price. You're within a fraction of a penny per kilowatt hour for clean electricity versus dirty. What's beautiful about this is it is for everybody. So as long as you have an electric bill in your name or in your significant other's name, you can do this. If you rent, you can buy clean energy. If you have a shaded lot and you really can't do solar at your house, you can buy clean energy. If you're about to move and you don't want to upgrade your house, you can buy clean energy. So it's really important to do this. Doesn't matter if you electrify everything if you don't try and buy clean energy. Now, on the other hand, there's some clean energy in every single mix, and the grid is getting a little bit cleaner every day. So if you don't, at least there's some clean energy. But please, if this is something that you care about, it should take you less than an hour, and it will cost nothing. I mean, it's pretty easy. So, public service announcement: go buy clean juice. Okay, in your life, there are two main energy users. There's your house and your car. So I will just touch on cars. Cars are just starting to get to where there's all electric options. For the most part, you're looking at more of a plug-in hybrid for the moment. The one that is way out front is Tesla, and they are taking over their categories, but their categories are presently upper market. There's a bunch of all-electric options coming out in the next couple of years. Should be far easier to buy an electric vehicle here shortly. I personally drive a Chevy Volt, and it's an electric first hybrid. So it has a battery, and it runs the electric motor, and then it switches over to the engine in time. So there's options today. That car was inexpensive used. So just start trolling and seeing what you can do for an electric car, or at least a partially electric car. Now, let's talk about the house, though, because that's the main thing that I want to focus on, and that's what we do in our practice. So our practice is called Energy Smart Home Performance. We're based in Cleveland. And we have done a number of gas meter removals. So this is what you have to do if you want to go all electric. You need to get rid of the gas meter. Our first four projects are all pre-1920. So these are all century homes now. And that's pretty amazing. So you will hear that you can't do heat pumps in cold climates, and particularly not in older homes. Well, here are four older homes in a cold climate that are all running on electricity, and they're all running pretty reasonably as far as operating cost goes. And we'll touch on that a little more later. Now, important point about Electrify Everything. Don't do this because you're just trying to decarbonize or reduce pollution or whatever your goal might be. That is not enough. The odds are you are going to choose a less expensive option and the results will not be very good. Please don't do that. Do your homework and do it because it makes your life better. Buy an electric car because you like it well. Electrify your house because you want to make it more comfortable. So we are routinely dealing with clients who have rooms that they don't use part of the year or rooms that they don't like to be in sometimes of the year because it's too hot or too cold. They may have mold issues. They may have icicle and ice dam issues in the climate where we are, where we get a lot of snow. Those are the kind of things that you want to solve, and then as a bonus, you electrify. So it needs to be something where you are making your life better. Don't do it just to do it, or you may have crummy results. All right, all that said, let's dig into some nuts and bolts. So looking at your home, there are 4 primary fossil fuel users in your home. There's cooking, there's drying your clothes, there's water heating, and there's space heating. There's other things like fireplaces and things like that, but these are the 4 that are really consistent in client homes. This starts from the least amount of energy to the most amount of energy used. So let's go through what the electric options for all of these look like. Let's start with cooking. This is the hard one. If you are like me, you like cooking on gas. Almost everyone likes cooking on gas. It's a nice experience because it's controllable. It's fast. It doesn't take a while. You tend to not burn things as much because you can turn things down. Most people don't like standard electric. Induction cooking is another form of electric cooking that is magnetic based versus being just resistance heat based. So it actually heats the metal in the pan. It turns up and down really quickly. In fact, it will turn lower than gas. My business partner uses it to decrystallize honey, which don't try doing that with gas. You will burn the snot out of something. It's very, very fast, so it will boil water faster than gas very often. So even with, this is a hot plate that is pictured here. This is not a full stove. You can buy a full stove. I have one. But the hot plates are oftentimes faster than gas, which is crazy because it's just a 110 plug. It's a plain old plug. Another thing about them is they're very easy to clean. You can just wipe them off. And then we think a lot about air quality and health. And so I have to ask you a question. Would you go out into your garage, turn the car on, and just stand out there while it's running and the garage door is closed, for hours, or at least a half an hour? No, because your car is polluting and it puts out carbon monoxide and there's lots of stuff you don't want to breathe and it can kill you. Well, think about what you're doing when you're cooking on gas. You have your face in the exhaust pipe of your gas stove. So you are breathing all of those combustion gases. There's lots of stuff that's not good in there. And so that's something to consider. When you look at a induction hot plate or anything electric, there may be bad things coming off from cooking the food, so you still should use a range hood, but at least you aren't burning those combustion gases. So it's healthier to use. So what I recommend is these are $70 hot plates. That's not very expensive. If you think you don't like it, but you haven't tried it, you are making an emotional decision. Don't go emotional on this. Go rational. Buy one. If you hate it, fine. You hate it. If you love it, though, the next time you buy a stove, you can get an induction stove. That is the single biggest piece of moving towards a gas meter or getting rid of your gas meter. So I highly, highly recommend trying one of these. It's worked for several people, including Bruce Nillis of Beyond Coal at the Sierra Club. All right, the other 3 things all involve heat pumps. So I don't want to get into the technical details of how a heat pump works, but we can talk about the basics. What a heat pump does is move heat. It pumps heat from one place to another. Like your air conditioner is not creating heat, and it's not actually cooling your house. What it's doing is moving heat from inside your house to outside your house. That's what they do. So heat pumps move heat from one place to another. Now, because they are moving heat rather than making heat, like resistance, like a toaster or a hair dryer or something like that, they are 300% efficient on average. Looking at a bunch of different things, which means if you put 1 unit of energy in, you get 3 units of heat out. Um, and then another piece of the puzzle is they can remove heat from air that you might consider cold. And that's why there's a photo of a fridge here. Um, so I assume if you're watching this, you have a refrigerator running in your house. Uh, what that does, that takes heat out of the cold air inside and ejects it into the house. So I think we can agree it's cold inside your refrigerator and there's heat coming out of it. So this is important when it comes to heating your house with the heat that's in the cold air outside. That is how heat pumps for space heating work. So we'll touch on that in a minute, but it's an important thing to note that these can do. Okay, I will touch briefly on heat pump dryers. So a heat pump takes heat out of your house and puts it into your clothes. These are finally getting ready for prime time. I've been watching them for years, and they're only just now getting good enough to where they don't have really crummy reviews on Amazon. This is Miele, a German company heat pump dryer. And what makes heat pump dryers really nice is they don't need a vent, so you don't have to run a pipe outside, which means you can put these anywhere in your house. So if you would like to do a second floor laundry, if you can find a way to get the plumbing up there, you don't have to worry about the vents. They also will run on 110. This one will, so you don't have to run a 220 wire to it as well. So it gives you more flexibility with a heat pump dryer. Now that said, standard electric dryers are fine. This is a nice luxury bonus. If it makes sense for you, do it, but don't worry about it too much. You can buy a standard electric dryer and they are all basically the same efficiency. They're all 100% efficient. You can buy a used one for $100. That's fine. You can do that. But if you have a gas dryer, you need to find a way to make it electric. The next piece, so now we're getting into real energy use. The water heater in your house is the second largest energy user almost always. And there's a new kind of water heater out. They've been out for 10 or 15 years now, and they're finally getting very reliable. It's called a heat pump water heater. So these take heat from whatever space they're in and pump it into your water of your house so that you can shower or do dishes or whatever with hot water. They are getting very quiet. My friend John Summelhack of Think Little just put out a video where he wedged one of these into a closet right inside the living space, and you can't hear the thing running. It's pretty remarkable. So they're very quiet. Their operating costs are really, really similar to gas. They're oftentimes less expensive. It depends on your utility rates. But here in Cleveland, we have moderate electricity prices and low natural gas prices. And a heat pump water heater is now less expensive to operate than gas. That's remarkable. They don't have a flue, so you don't have to worry about having them near a chimney or pumping air outside. So you can put these things anywhere. It doesn't matter. In fact, one nice flexibility piece is, say you have your water heater on one side of the house because the chimney's there, but your bathrooms where you use most of the water are on the other side of the house. So you're waiting a minute for hot water to show up. If you have a place, you can move it from one side of the house to the other, and then you can speed up how fast you get water, which is nice to do. So again, they have flexibility there. And then lastly, there's no carbon monoxide risk. So about half of the water heaters that I test fail combustion safety testing, which means either they're producing too much carbon monoxide or they are backdrafting into the house. So rather than the flue gases going up the chimney like they should, they can't get enough air to burn, so they pull air to burn down the chimney. Bad news. Can lead to all kinds of bad stuff. There is no risk with these because they're electric. Now you can look at gas water heaters that have much lower carbon monoxide risk, but at that point you're getting to a price point where it's almost the same. So you might as well do this and completely eliminate the risk and gain the flexibility of being able to put it where you want. So that's water heating. Last piece is space heating. So a heat pump is an air conditioner. Actually, an air conditioner is technically a heat pump, but with residential heat pumps, to call it a heat pump, technically it goes both ways. So it will heat and cool. So it's an air conditioner. This is one here. This is an install that we put in December of 18. And uh, you notice that it's on legs. So I joke, this is the droid you're looking for. Uh, but it looks just like the air conditioner unit that you have at your house. The great thing about these is the latest generation of them works well in cold climates, and it can finally replace ground source heat pumps or geothermal heat pumps, and be the math can be pretty decent on them. And then most importantly, we don't do these just because they're electric. We also do them because they provide really good comfort. So if you are going to buy an air conditioner, then the next time you buy one, get a heat pump version instead. They're $500 to $1,000 more installed to go for a heat pump version in general. So it's not a huge jump. And then they can put out smaller amounts of heat, which matches what the house needs more often, which can lead to a more comfortable house. So, important notes. Okay, biggest question that I get when we start talking about this is, do they cost more to run? Because it's scary. Most of us have probably heard a horror story of someone who has a heat pump and got a $1,000 electric bill one winter. Now, there are a lot of factors involved in this, but typically when you hear a high bill, there's one of three things going on. The house is really leaky, so the heat pump can't keep up. The heat pump is not a high performance one, so it can't handle the cold very well, or the settings are wrong. We just had one client this year, just changing settings on his heat pump is going to save him $1,500 a year. So you have to pay attention to things. When they are done well, we when we do these as part of projects, we find that they cost between $0 a year more and $500 a year more to operate. These two houses here shown, these are case studies on the EnergySmartOhio.com website. So you can go read about exactly what we did to these houses. They're very similar. They're almost the same size. They have the same finishing blower door. They have the same basic project that we did to them, and they're both single occupant. So they're about as similar as you can expect two houses to be. The house on the right, the house of the future, that house has cost anywhere between $250 a year to operate compared to the one on the left. And then this past winter, when we had that cold snap, it was $60 more expensive for the year. But that's the year, not the month, the year. So very similar operating costs when done well. Now there's a big secret behind here, and I love this meme. A friend of mine tagged me on this. It's Brian Orr of HVAC School. So you can see what it says. It says, if you are against pipelines, then do your part and shut off the one bringing gas to your house. It's meant to be ironic, and like Brian said, I see this and I think game on. We can do this. And one nice secret here, you need to take a look at what your bill is, but in Cleveland, the meter fees are now $350 a year just to have a gas meter bolted to the side of your house, even if you don't use any gas at all. That $300 to $350 a year, remember, it's a $0 to $500 difference. That can offset a big chunk of that operating cost split. So important to note. All right, when to electrify. There's one really critical time to do this, which is when you are going to replace your HVAC. So heating, ventilation, and cooling. This is your furnace, your air conditioner, your boiler, even your heat pump, whatever you have. That is the time to do this. Now, to make this work well, you must plan ahead, because typically the units that you want to use are not common ones that aren't in stock, or that are in stock, so they aren't in stock typically. So you don't want to do this in a rush on the coldest day of the year when your furnace fails. You're going to get another furnace, and then you just made a 15 to 20 year commitment to fossil fuels again. So you're going to be polluting for another 15 or 20 years because of that. So if you are hearing from your HVAC guy that you're within a couple of years of replacing your HVAC, that's the time to think about this. Now, heat pumps work best in airtight homes, which is tested with the blower door, and almost any home can be tightened. So this is what we do as part of our projects. Step one is always to tighten the house. Now, I don't want to dig into what all that looks like, but this is my book, the Home Comfort Book. There are 4 out of 6 free chapters available as downloads at natethehousewhisperer.com. So go read Home Comfort 101 and HVAC 101. Those are the 2 key free ones that are there, and you'll be up to speed on what it looks like to tighten a house enough so that electrification makes sense. Okay, last slide, second to last slide. There are 3 things that everyone can do. So I don't care who you are, everyone can do this. Step 1, buy renewable electricity, like we were talking about earlier. It's not that hard, do it now. Then you are buying clean electricity, and your money is going to build a wind turbine or a solar farm someplace. So it's good to know that that's happening. Second thing is never buy an air conditioner again. Buy a heat pump instead. Same piece of equipment, just lets it go both ways. Like I said, $500 to $1,000 more. It's not a difficult thing. And the third thing is buy an induction hot plate and try it out. So a couple of my friends have done this, and they are using their induction hot plate next to their gas stove, and they're cooking primarily with their hot plate, which is pretty hilarious. One friend, his stove is 2 months old, and he's still using the induction hot plate and kicking himself for not buying an induction stove. So try that out. Those are the 3 things. Buy clean juice, never buy an air conditioner again, buy an induction hot plate. Everyone can do those, and they're inexpensive. So that's the basics. That is how you electrify a house. We touched on cars. We touched on how important it is to buy clean electricity to power this. So electrify everything so that your life can run on renewable energy. If you want to learn more, there's 3 things at the bottom there. So resources, look up Electrify Everything resources. I've put together just about everything I can find. There's a bunch of studies from utilities and various think tanks about electrification. There are case studies of the electrifications that we've done. There's more to come. I've only done case studies on 4. We have 8 under our belts now. If you just want to look at case studies of home performance projects, EnergySmartOhio.com has those. And then again, the free chapters, go learn. This is an education thing. You must spend some time learning so that you don't fight and so that results are more likely. So I hope all of this is helpful to you, and I hope you have a lovely day. I'm Nate the House Whisperer. Have a good one.